All right, guys, welcome to the live stream. This one's a little bit late this month. Things have been busy, and I took a couple weeks off, even though I didn't really want to. Hey, there's a lot of pressure to keep making YouTube videos, okay? But I took the time off because my wife wanted me to, and I mentally needed it. But I am back, and I am super excited for tonight's live stream and super excited for our guest. You may have noticed that on the thumbnail, I don't have a picture of him. It's because I didn't ask for one first. But second, he wishes to remain anonymous. So while he's here, there's just going to be a black blob here. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. He's here to tell his story and try to inspire some of you guys that may come to a crossroads of whether you want to continue in aviation or go do something else. He's here to try to help you guys understand what his thought process was after his incident, prop strike, when he was soloing. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But for right now, I want to talk to you guys about a little housekeeping that's going on here. First and foremost, you guys wanted me to do the instrument training, and since the last live stream, I have been doing a lot of work, groundwork, to make that happen. It was kind of on a whim of saying, should I do this? And now I've got an instructor lined up. I've got the airplane lined up. I've got all the stuff that I'm going to need for it. We have some people who are actually helping us out and sponsoring some of those videos. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited. Not really excited. I have to do the learning side of it all. I'm not excited about that. But anyways, real quick, can you guys all hear me? It's going to take like 8 seconds of delay. I'm not seeing you guys saying I can't hear you, so we're going to just keep going on. All right, next on the list, I am super excited to announce to you guys that, where is it? I have a new logo. This is it, and I'm super excited about it because the one that I had before was kind of a retro throwback to aviation and those types of things, and I liked it, but I never loved it. But this one, cleaner, more modern, super excited for it, and I hope that you guys like it too. A little bit more on that guy in just a minute, though. I did some other things with it, and if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see what I did with that, and there's some exciting news about those too. Now, there's a lot of events happening this year because they didn't happen last year, but one of the events that I'm going to be going to is the Aviation Content Creators Award, the ACCAs. They're put together by Dan Greider. If you've seen him on YouTube, he's done stuff with Flight Chops. He also has a YouTube channel, Probable Cause, where he goes over aviation incidents and stuff and talks about his take on what happens and goes through the NTSB reports. Very cool to watch, but he's putting these awards on, and this year I've been invited to attend, so I am going. Those are a couple of days before Oshkosh, which, speaking of, I'm going to be there too. I am planning on being at Oshkosh all week long, and I'm so excited. It's my first year to actually go, and people tell me my mind's going to be blown. I'm excited to go visit friends that I have here and that I've made in the aviation community there, and also some of the people who've helped out with my channel over the last couple of years, a couple of sponsorships and just different things, and I'm really looking forward to trying to meet some of you guys, and that's where my next thing comes in. I took my new logo and I put it on a sticker. And I actually really, really like these. The quality and everything was great. And I'm going to be carrying a lot of these. And if you come up and you ask me for one at Oshkosh, or if you happen to be at the ACCAs and just watching, ask me for one. I will definitely give you one. And if you're interested in buying one of these, let me know. I don't feel like I'm the type of person that people are like, oh, I really want to buy merchandise and those things, which I have merchandise. But if you are interested in a sticker, let me know, and I'll find a way to try to sell them to you guys so you can have them for your cars. I put one on my van because I have a van. Oh, gosh, I shouldn't have told you that. Don't think any lesser of me because I drive a van. It was my wife's choice. In fact, the license plate for my van is given up because that's what I had to do because my wife said we're getting a van, and I gave up. It was a sad day. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, the new stickers. Now, an event, something fun and interesting that happened to me today. If you are following a young man by the name of Travis, I'm really bad with last names, so I think it's Ludlow. He's been traveling around the world in a Cessna 172. He started in England, flew across Russia, came down through Alaska, and he stopped in Phoenix today. And it was kind of a surprise to me because I wasn't following his actual route. I've just been following him in the pictures and things he's been posting on Instagram, which has been very, very interesting. But he stopped here today. Here is his plane, which is really cool. You can see all the sponsors and stuff on it, but it's a 172, and he went ahead and upgraded the engine to a diesel engine. So that is running on Jet A. Lots of good reasons to do that, I believe, and it's kind of cool. And then next, hey, just to prove that I really did see him and didn't just take a picture of his airplane, which I could have done. But here he and I are. I also took my daughter there, and it was really awesome talking to him. He's very inspiring, and it's exciting what he's doing. He's wanting to be the youngest pilot to circumnavigate the globe solo. And he's well on his way to doing that. He's just got to get across the United States, and I think I'm anticipating he's going to go up through Greenland, Iceland, and kind of come back down through the European area over there, back down into England, which I want to continue to follow his route. It's very cool that he's doing that. I also followed Solar Impulse, if any of you guys know who that or what that is, the solar-powered airplane that flew around the world. That also stopped here in Phoenix. Got to see that. Very, very cool airplane. All right, let's see what else we've got going on here. Oh, one more piece for housekeeping. Guys, I have all of you to thank for this. 3.5 million views of our videos, which is absolutely incredible. I can't thank you guys enough for spending the time watching my videos, trying to learn a little bit more about aviation for informational purposes only, and just being there to support me as much as you can. I really, truly do thank all of you for that. All right, and speaking of you guys, I'm going to move over here to the chat for just a second. I want to say hi to all of you. There are some people who are in here extra early, and I already see the chat is lighting up with a lot of people. If you can just tell me where you're from, if you're from somewhere else in the world. I like saying good morning all day. I don't know why. I just say good morning to people. So if you're on the other side of the world, good morning. And it's appropriate. See, no one can tell me that it's not. Let's see here. Again, terrible with names. Viz, I think you said you were 13. Welcome. I'm excited that you're here. Steve Thompson, he's in my neck of the woods. Steve, thank you for showing up. This is going to be a really good one. We have Jimmy Coca Apo, A-P-O-P. I don't know. These are great. Welcome. Party Show, welcome again, and thank you for contributing on a lot of commenting on the stuff that we do. I really, really do appreciate that. And let's see, we have Sarah here from Vancouver, Canada. That's cool. Viz is inside of New Hampshire. San Antonio, Texas for Larry Palmer. And then Jimmy Coco, yes, he's in SoCal. That's awesome. Oh, and we have the infamous Brian Turner from Just Plain Silly. He is in the chat tonight. If you guys haven't seen his channel, it's hilarious. And Brian, by the way, I have a really funny thing that you need to do. It's not a video. You're going to love it. We need to chat. Anyways, let's go ahead and introduce our guest for tonight. I told you guys a little bit about him when we started. His name is Geoff. And many years ago, he embarked on his private pilot certificate. And just as he was getting to solo, was it your initial solo?
Yes.
Oh, on his initial solo, when he was doing his touch and goes, he ended up having an incident, a prop strike, and a lot of stuff unfolded after that. And he is here to tell us about that story. But first, I want to invite you over here and tell us a little bit about yourself. Oh, and one last thing, guys. Let's see here. Yeah, scoot this way just a little more. We're going to have the chat up. And if you want to talk to us or have a question for us, please use the @ symbol and Fly with the Guys, @Fly with the Guys. It will light up on our screen and we can see them easier as you guys are talking amongst yourselves as well. So please, @Fly with the Guys, and then do it. If Brian Turner could please show everyone how it's done, that would be great. I like the smiley face. Thank you. All right, so sorry for that rude interruption. Geoff, please. Tell us about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, by the way.
Yeah, no
Appreciate
problem.
That. My name is Geoff, and back in 2007, I decided to like you said, embark on my flight training journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it with a small organization that had their like 2 planes. And kind of like you said, my first solo didn't go so well. Well, the first 2 go-arounds went just fine. And it was the third one, my final landing, that got a little haywire.
Little haywire. Yeah. Well, don't tell us the story just
I
yet.
won't.
Oh, because we're really excited about it. But you do something really fun for a living. Something that like I commend you for.
Oh, thank you. I do 2 things, actually.
Oh, 2 things?
Yes.
Well, one of them I may not care about, but the one that you're currently wearing the shirt for.
Yes. So
tell everyone about that.
I do work as a flight nurse because, as the quote says, once you've been up there, you'll always look to the sky hoping to be there. And I know I'm paraphrasing that, but so I couldn't get away from it. And flight nursing, and I started as a flight paramedic first and then moved up to being a flight nurse. And it's amazing. I get to fly for a living, so it's a pretty good job. Yeah, I'm not on the controls, but I get to sit in the back and take care of really sick patients, which is really rewarding, actually.
Yeah, no, I have another friend who's a nurse, and during COVID, she helped take care of a lot of COVID patients inside of the ICU, and I commend anyone frontline workers who do those things. So thank you for doing
thank
that.
you. Yeah,
so
appreciate that.
But you're doing it in a cool way.
It is cool. Well, not right now. It's hot, and
it's hot.
Nomex flight suits are hot right now. But yeah, otherwise it's very cool.
No, that's awesome. So, let's see here. So let's go ahead and start back at the beginning before we get into your story. What got you interested in aviation?
So I actually worked for Airvac, Samaritan Airvac here in town. This is back in the mid-90s. And I started there as a dispatcher. So, I'm sorry, not a dispatcher, but a communications controller.
Okay.
So we couldn't call ourselves dispatchers because we weren't like FAA certified as dispatchers, but essentially that's what I was.
Yeah.
And so I got my first flight in a BK-117. And
wait, what is that a plane?
That's a helicopter.
A helicopter.
Yes.
See, I know a lot of airplane names, but that wasn't familiar to me.
Yes.
So you're like helicopters. Okay.
Yes. So and the tail number on that was 911 Lima Kilo, and I'll never forget that one.
That's fun.
And so I got hooked. We just did a quick flight from Sky Harbor over to Good Sam, which is known as Banner University now, and I was like, man, I need to do this for a living. And so at the same time, I was trying to decide if I wanted to go to the fire department or go work in law enforcement. And in the law enforcement world, at least for the city that I work for, also, that's my other job, we train in-house, our pilots. So for our air unit, we train in-house. So if you're looking for a really cheap way to become a pilot, come become a police officer and test for the air unit, and we'll train you in-house.
I get that question a lot. It's like, how could I get someone else to pay for my training?
Yeah, and it's great.
Cool. I never thought of that way, by the way.
So that's what made me go the law enforcement route. So, and then also I did a lot of VATSIM stuff. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with VATSIM, but it's a lot of flight sim stuff. And so it really kind of helped me get used to talking on the radio.
Yeah.
So that helped me out during my private pilot training because I could talk on the radio pretty comfortably because I had practiced it so much with somebody else online. And then I actually went to the other side with VAT USA and I did the air traffic control stuff. So I worked for the virtual Albuquerque Center and I did a lot of training that way.
Wow.
And then I was a virtual Southwest Airlines pilot for a long time too. So
that's pretty cool.
It was fun. It was fun. I mean, I know it's nerdy, but it was fun.
No, but that could actually help pilots. Like I'm working on that video, like using a flight simulator to be able to get better at radios, at things that can help you become a better pilot through simulators. Because I mean, flight simulator kids get a bad rap sometimes. Like you can't fly a plane, but it can help.
It does, absolutely. It taught me a lot about aviation, actually.
That's
just
awesome.
Doing that kind of stuff.
And so you did a lot of that, and then you were able to jump into this program.
So yeah, I needed to do this program because at the time we had to have our private pilot before we could even test for the air unit. So that's what made me kind of, okay, well, I need to get this done. We've since changed that. But that's what made me start. So back in 2007, I started.
2007. Okay, so then the story that we're going to be telling then is from back in 2007.
Yes, so we're talking, what, 14 years ago?
Yeah, well, the story doesn't change and the decisions didn't change.
No. So my flight training was going really well.
Yeah.
And we were going out and doing maneuvers, which I had no problems with. And I kept telling my instructor that I felt like I needed more time with landings.
Okay.
Takeoffs, I was great, but landings, I just really wanted to kind of hone that down because they were just squirrely when I was doing it. I don't know how else to describe it.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
And then he kept telling me, "Oh no, you're fine. You're doing well. You're doing fine."
Which is normal, by the way, because they're supposed to help you progress. They want you to progress, and so sometimes they see that you're ready, but you may not feel like you're ready. And sometimes you just need to give them that little push. Maybe, and that may have been what he's doing, but at the same time, if you don't feel comfortable and you're not ready, But I was sorry, I was just trying to think outside the box
I think
for a second.
I should have just maybe spoke up just a little bit more. I think when you're going through flight training, like you need to be more maybe assertive sometimes with your instructor to say, hey, I really want to work on this and take that time to work on that particular skill until you
Remember
feel
who's paying the bill.
Right.
You always remind them that. Remember who's paying the bill. I want to do more flying.
Right. Yeah, right. So did my first go around. Do you want to get in the story now?
Yeah,
I don't want to change your program here.
No, you're totally fine. So let me say this, because we like doing the clips and everything.
Yes.
So Jeff, can you tell us what happened? Like that day, like start at the beginning of the day.
Okay, so I was super excited. I was going to be doing my solo, and I was a little nervous, but I felt confident.
Yeah.
He had instilled confidence in me. We talked about exactly what I was going to do, and so I was ready to go do it. And taxied out there, no problems there. Did my run up, everything went great, and took off. And of course, I'm going to stay in the pattern. I requested, the touch and goes, and I told them that I was a student pilot.
And what airport was this at?
This was at DVT, or Deer Valley.
Deer Valley, okay, where I fly out of.
Yeah, so great airport. I love it there.
It's wonderful.
So at any rate, I get up there, and it was a right-handed pattern, so I went up there and came out over the 101 freeway, and I was doing well, came down, did my first touch and go. Everything was fine. Went up again, came back around, and then on my second one, it was a little squirrely, but we landed. I landed just fine, and then I powered back up, cleaned up the airplane, and took off again.
So everything was feeling normal. Were you feeling a little bit more confident at that point, or were you thinking about that squirreliness?
I got to tell you, like on the outside, I probably was cool as a cucumber, but inside I was like a little anxious. Yeah.
Screaming, yeah.
I'm like, holy cow, here I am flying this airplane by myself, and I don't have anyone next to me any longer. And by the way, the airplane feels a lot different when you don't have anybody sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Whether it's psychological or there is, a difference in the weight, I don't know, but it does feel different. Mm-hmm. So my third time around, as I came around, I landed, and my mains hit at different times. And it just kind of started getting really like wobbly on me before my nose gear came down. And then, so I just put power back in and I took off again to do it another time.
Okay. So you're like, go around.
Go around.
Good call, by the way.
Yes. I just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So trust your instincts.
By the way, just plain silly here, Brian said pilots are masters of faking confidence.
Yes. And that's probably what I was doing.
Faking it. All right.
Absolutely.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right. So as I came around to do it again, I set it down and my right main hit first. And I was just kind of like rolling on my right main gear for a few feet. And then the left one hit, but it hit kind of weird where it really like grabbed the runway. And so it started pulling me a different direction.
Okay.
So then I tried to put more right pedal in to steer me back towards the right. And then because I was starting to get a little slippery on the runway, I put a lot of brake in to it. And I pushed forward on the yoke quite a bit. So I basically overflew the airplane. I mean, looking back, that's what I did. I overflew the airplane. And so the tail end kind of came up. And I went like on the front gear and my left main, and I heard, I can hear it in my head right now.
Oh, jeez.
The dun 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 dun, and it was the prop striking the runway.
Oof.
So what do I do now? Like I can see the bend in the propeller.
It's still running.
It's still running.
Oh, jeez.
It's still running, and now Tower is asking me if I'm okay. And
because they saw
what happened. They saw everything, and I'm sure they see quite a bit out there. But they asked me, could you taxi? And somehow I maintained my composure, even though I was like, oh my gosh.
You're screaming on the inside again.
Yeah, like I can't believe this just happened. So I was like, yeah, it's affirmative. I can taxi off. And then like, okay, well, exit. And I can't remember which one they told me to exit on, but I exited, cleaned up the airplane a little bit. And as I look to where we normally park the airplane, I can see the airplane owner and my instructor. So now I feel even more sick to my stomach at this point.
Oh, which we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let's talk back about what was going on. Was there a crosswind that day? Steve wants to know.
No, I don't feel like there was at all. I feel like it was kind of coming right down the runway. I just didn't feel it in ground effect right. Just where I was level and putting both my mains down at the same time, which I know was not always going to happen, but it just, when the right one went down and then the airplane kind of moved into like more of a diagonal plane, it just felt really awful. And then I just kind of, like I said, I overflew the airplane.
Yeah, overcorrected.
Yeah.
So, and I've had that type of situation where I've landed, and especially when I started flying the Cardinal. The Cardinal does this to me because the cowlings of the 172 are straight, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that I was using those straight lines to line up for the runway because I'd only ever flown a 172. The Cardinals are tapered in.
Oh, yeah.
And so here I am. I'm coming in angled like this, but the cowling is straight in line. So I come and I touch down, and yeah, it touched down cockeyed, similar to what you were doing, and then it started going off one direction. And I'm trying to correct for that with the rudder pedal, and I can feel the airplane kind of
and that's what happened. And then, like I said, I got nervous, and then I pumped the brakes really hard, and it stopped.
Yeah. Well, so now having put that together and what you've said, it's a similar experience. It's just when you overcorrect, if you add too much rudder to try to get back or to not depart the runway per se, if you're headed that direction, you can easily do that.
And that's what I felt like I was doing. I felt like I was going to go right off the runway, so I was trying to correct for that.
Interesting. Okay. So in retrospect, I mean, what do you think you could have done differently? Or have you thought about that? Or am I bringing up bad memories?
No. I think I had get home-itis at that point where, like, I didn't want to go around again. And I probably, once I felt that it was not exactly right to set down, I should have just went around again and got set back up. And then tried not to overreact, thinking back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. I mean, it's your initial solo. You have no safety net. And it's, I remember the anxiety that I had, just myself. And the first one for me was good too. The second one was good. The third one, I kind of plopped down a little hard. They couldn't tell when they were watching me from the side, but I know I did it.
Yeah.
But there's that anxiety of this is the first time that I'm doing this. And it's funny because I know, you made a decision that we don't want to talk about just yet because there's so much to this story. And guys, if you have questions, please ask them down here because we want to answer your questions that you may have about the incident and things that are going on. But that anxiety didn't go away until I shut off the airplane.
No. And I do see a question here. If I thought I was going too fast, I was configured appropriately. So no, I don't think I was going too fast but I think maybe I should have kept my nose up just a little bit longer and let it settle in.
Lead off a little more. Stayed in ground effect a little bit longer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've noticed that when I land and do that thing I was talking about, it's because I have a little too much speed and I touch down a little early.
Yeah.
And maybe one wing will pick up or just something. The plane doesn't go just straight the way that I want it, which is what terrifies me about doing tailwheel training. Because I hear that's what gives you a ground loop.
Yeah, I bet it does.
So, so here's a question from, who wrote this? Oh, a professional drummer, Christopher Bowers. Is the anxiety normal for your first solo? I would say yes.
I would
and
agree.
If you don't have anxiety, you're probably going to kill yourself.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. There's actually a book the guy wrote called The Gift of Fear. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned about fear and how to use it to your advantage, not to your disadvantage.
Yeah.
And I think with me, on my incident where, like I said, I had that get home itis. I was like, I know I just got to get on the ground. I just got to get it on the ground. I just got to get on the ground. And in hindsight, I should have like changed my attitude about it a little bit. And that may have prevented what happened.
Well, the pilot attitudes that they talk about a lot inside of our training, that's something you have to recognize, because that's the first step of breaking the chain, to be able to make it sure that incidents and things don't happen. So totally understand. But yes, Christopher, what I meant when I said if you're probably going to kill yourself is like if you are bold and like I can fly the plane, like on your first hour, okay, I'm ready to solo. That's a scary situation. That is a pilot hazardous attitude that you don't want to have. So having a level of anxiety, a little bit of fear, I think puts you in the right place so that you're trying to be safe, because that boldness turns into not being safe, in my opinion. And we've seen that many, many times with accidents and such. So yes, be anxious. And if you're getting ready to solo, that's awesome. Congratulations.
That is awesome.
Congratulations on that. So, all right, I see another question here from Alper. What's this
one? Which one are you looking at?
Right here.
Oh, well, he's got the things over the top of the U, so it's a Rusno?
I don't know.
Alper Rusno?
I'm guessing he's somewhere else inside of the world.
Yeah, maybe Dutch. I don't know. So the owner's reaction.
Yeah, let's move on to that one. Let's continue the story. What was the owner's reaction? You said they were sitting over there on the ramp.
Yeah, and to their credit, they were like, "Are you okay?" They were concerned about me.
Yeah, I'm glad that was the first reaction.
I think they were crying a little bit inside. In fact, I'm sure they were. But yeah, they wanted to know if I was okay. And then in the days following, they called me quite often to, one, see if I was doing okay, and two, they wanted to get me back up in the air right away. And they said that the best thing to overcome this would be to get back up in the air right away.
So they weren't mad about the plane?
No, they were very supportive. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know that I can imagine someone coming out and just being like furious. You ruined my airplane.
Oh, I thought for sure that's what it was going to be, but no, they weren't. And I worked with these guys. These are guys that I worked with that own this company. They were members of my department, so that made it awkward for a while.
Okay. But I was seeing some questions come through here. You guys have such great questions and stuff, so we like answering as much as we can. We'll get to them in just a second, but I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that. So you brought the airplane over. They check to make sure you're okay. You step out. You see the damage.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Bringing it up again. I'm sorry.
So, it's curled like this. I'm trying to make it for the camera, but it's the tips of the props are curled like this.
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking to me, Well,
I love airplanes.
I couldn't believe it was able to taxi in, and the motor was running fine, but yeah, the props were, and there was internal damage, as
Absolutely.
I found out later, but
anyone who says I had a prop strike and there's nothing wrong with my engine is lying to you.
Right, and it's kind of embarrassing as you're looking behind you, seeing the aviation operations unit do a runway check to make sure that there's no debris or chunks out of the runway. But yeah.
Oof. So you just kind of like, what was the reaction after that? I mean, you saw those, obviously.
Yeah, and I apologized profusely, and they said they would get with me, and like I said, they called me back several times, and then I just at that point, I felt like maybe this is something I can't do. Maybe I just can't fly an airplane. And it's something I'd wanted to do forever, even as a young kid. I loved aviation, but maybe it was just something that wasn't up my alley.
All right, stop there.
Okay.
I don't want you to go any further on that thought, because that is a huge, huge question. Something that we definitely want to discuss deeply. But let's jump in here and answer a few of these questions. Movie Watcher 123. He says, just out of curiosity, do flight students have to go through a safety protocol before learning how to fly a plane for the first time? And I wouldn't say necessarily if you have flight school, they might have a safety protocol, but every flight has a protocol. You're supposed to go through a checklist to check the airplane, make sure that it's safe. You're supposed to go through what you want to do. What's the purpose of this flight? What am I doing to make sure that it's safe? There are a lot of things that we do as pilots to make sure that things are safe. And I'm sure at a school that they have something like that where they teach everyone. If you guys have been to a flight school, please answer inside of the comments, but I'm sure that there's a safety class at some point. Either that or safety is just part of everything.
Well, Carl, I would argue that many of the maneuvers that we practice during flight training are emergency procedures.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, essentially, you're learning the emergency procedures while you're up there with your instructor.
That is actually a good point. I mean, we do stalls to avoid those. We steep turns to avoidance. It just there's many things that we learn.
Picking alternate landing sites in case you have an engine failure. All those kinds of things.
That's a good point. That is a really good point.
And even as a medical crew, we are taught to be looking for those things as we're flying in the helicopter. I mean, we have both airplanes and helicopters. We have PC-12s and various different rotor aircraft, but they teach air crew members that are working as a medic or a nurse in the back to be looking for those things. And then at some point, they even teach us how to read approach charts. So if we do get into an inadvertent IMC, because for the most part our programs are VFR, so that someone that's not really into aviation knows how to tell the pilot, okay, this is how we're going to fly this approach, so that they can concentrate on the flying and we can give them guidance from sitting behind them.
Gotcha. That's something that I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. So I keep breaking these up because, intentionally, and I want you guys to be all like, no, I want to hear more. So we have someone who wants to move on in this story, obviously.
Okay. Help her again.
So you started kind of answering the question already. What did you do next? And that's what he's asking here. How did you feel on your next flight? Well, first, was there a next flight?
There wasn't a next flight.
Oof.
Essentially. So I can tell you what happened next. So time went by. I want to say it was 2011. I got into our air unit at my department. So I was selected. And
so you still had an itch to get in the air.
Absolutely. I still wanted to fly.
That's awesome. But you made the ultimate decision at that point.
I thought,
to just not.
But yeah. But I thought, okay, this is helicopters. And this is what I wanted to do. This is the whole reason I chose to go to the police department as opposed to the fire department, because I wanted to learn how to fly helicopters. And my plan was that when I retired, then I would go fly EMS helicopters as my retirement job. So that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
So I was what they call a tactical flight officer, which is basically observer in the helicopter. So I'm the one that sets up the perimeters. I call the pursuits. I look for the bad guys. I look for evidence that may be thrown on roofs, people hiding on roofs, search and rescue missions. I've been on lots of mountain rescues in the mountains that we have around here.
That's awesome.
Just making sure that we're being safe and helping with the hoists and whatnot, as far as, giving the firefighter in the back direction about where we need to go. And because the vantage point was better up front. But so that was going great. And then they moved me to the airplane squad because we have an airplane that we use for surveillance.
What kind of airplane is it?
It's a Pilatus PC-12. So it's a very nice aircraft.
Okay, now I just got like a little jelly.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I bet.
At any rate, so this is awkward for me though now, right? Because I want to fly helicopters.
And now you're in an airplane.
And now they're going to put me on the airplane squad because that was the operational need. And I completely understand why they put me over there. But, oh man, this means I'm going to go through airplane training. And I'm going to have to fly again. And I'm going to have to land again.
Oh, so this actually brought up some anxiety.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to do the helicopter and now you're back in a fixed wing.
And all these guys know because, like I said, the guy that owned the airplane worked in that unit. So they all know what happened to me.
Interesting.
Years prior. So, I started doing the airplane training and things were going well, but I just was at a point in my life where I thought, this is not exactly what I want to do. And that's when I decided to leave that unit and I went back to nursing school and I finished up my RN.
Okay.
So
that's what you did afterwards. So ultimately, I'm done for now.
I'm done for now. But I still could not get away from aviation. So I went back to patrol for a little while, and then there was an opening at Sky Harbor for an officer there. So I went to Sky Harbor and I worked as an officer there. So now I'm around this environment where I'm constantly around aviation.
And even when we were chatting about doing this, you're like, no, I've been flying my butt off all day.
Yes.
Because
I was on a helicopter I was working in Kansas and on a helicopter there, and I was flying all day long there. So
wow. Well, whenever somebody has an incident or a problem like that, I mean, every pilot's going to come to a crossroads. And that's what you came to, and you chose to not continue at that time because of this incident. And that's a hard decision for a lot of people. Some people, it's really easy. I was telling you a story about a girl who flies inside the club that I'm in. She, something happened kind of similar to, I think, what we were describing, and she departed the runway. And she didn't tell anybody. She kind of just put the plane away. And we got a letter from the FAA because the tower had to write the incident report that something had happened. And she also, that incident took her and said, I'm done. I'm never flying again. I can't handle the stress and what's going on. Not having talked to her, but knowing that she never showed back at our club, that's what I'm assuming. And there's a lot of people that things like that happen to when they start to solo. That there's a solo anxiety that people start to have. Kind of going back to the question that we were having before, it's the solo plateau, where a lot of students will just stop because they no longer have that safety net that they thought they had or that they want to have, so that they can continue. And it takes that level of moving forward, that level of confidence to be able to get to that. And that's why I wanted you on here tonight, is to kind of talk about, okay, you got to that crossroads, and ultimately that's the decision that you made. And I commend you for it, because it's your choice, and we all have those. Yeah. But you didn't really give up, did you?
No, I still, as like I said, my job, I still fly, but I'm in the back. The problem with that is I want to be the guy flying the aircraft. Still. And so, in fact, I talked to one of your other guests not too long ago. I'm like, how much do you guys charge over there at Goodyear?
Yeah.
Because I want to do it again. But I don't want to just get it at this point just to have my certificate.
You want to do it with a purpose.
I want to do it with a purpose.
And that's awesome.
I want to do it like, I'm going to do this as a job. Maybe not fly airliners, maybe fly private, like as far as like charter, or maybe come around and work for the company that I work for now and turn around and come as a pilot, because we have a paramedic right now. I think he works in California that is working on his rotor, so that when he gets that and builds some time, he can eventually come back to us as a rotor pilot.
Yeah.
All while he's working as a flight paramedic. So which is pretty cool.
Christopher says, no lie, this is a great topic. I totally agree. This is why I wanted to discuss these things. These are big ultimate decisions that pilots have to make. I want to go back to this moment right here. Brian Rhodes, if you're still inside of here, he says, I worked on a Cessna 442 that the pilot forgot to put the landing gear down. Did that pilot continue to fly after that? Because we're talking about students right now. There are pilots who make errors.
Yeah.
Do they go back? What's their ultimate decision? And, I want to inspire people to continue inside of aviation. I love airplanes. I love flying. I love aviation so much. And so I want to inspire people. And so what's also your story, where at the time you ultimately decided that crossroads, I'm going left. I'm not gonna pursue this anymore. But to hear you now, 14 years later, you're like, I want to do it again.
I do.
I want to do it
because I feel like just that thing that's just sitting there. It's like I see an airplane flying, or I see guys in the Northwest practice area over here, and I just think, like I should do that. I should finish it up. Like I need to face my fears, so to speak. And I'm the kind of guy, like even when I'm flying on a commercial and we're pushing back from the gate, I'm listening to ATC Live, and because I'm like, I love every part of it.
Yeah.
And even those guys make mistakes, because I know one day when I was coming back from Wichita and we were approaching on the south runways, I'm like, we are way too high. I just know, I'm like, we are way too high. And the next thing I know, we're doing a go around, And he's like, oh, yeah, there's an airplane on the runway. And I'm like, no, there wasn't. You know what I mean? But, like, so those guys make mistakes, too. He just didn't fly the approach correctly.
And what my, and this is to try to help everyone who's at a crossroads or about to solo or maybe going on a cross country that they have some anxiety and stuff over, or maybe a mistake that you've made. Realize first that you're going into a situation that people feel that you're prepared for. And we kind of talked about it. They're going to encourage you to move forward and progress. Don't focus on your mistakes that you've made or things that have happened if you truly want to keep doing it, because throw those things in the back seat is what my instructor used to say. Because the more you think about them, especially your touch and goes. Your first one was fine. Your second one may have created some anxiety, which if you had just thrown it in the back seat and concentrated on the next one, your third touch and go may have been awesome. This is just an example, and I'm using you for it. Sorry for smearing it all over you.
No, you're fine.
But I mean,
I'm just going to drink more now.
Yeah, go for it. Drink more. I'm going home and I'm drinking tonight. Just throw it in the back seat. Don't let it affect you. And if you need to talk about it with an instructor, talk about it later on. Just focus on what's in front of you. Fly the airplane, or get back in the airplane if you've had an incident, because, get the training you need and just keep going.
Yeah, I think, and Skippy 11 talks about it here. It says, do you feel it was a mistake not to take another flight to at least get over it? And yeah, I feel like I probably should have continued with it. But I was just so, like I said, it killed me so much that I just felt like it was not something I could do. I just felt like, and that's not me. Usually I set a goal, and I have other people that'll tell me, oh, don't bother doing that because you're not going to be able to do it. And that just fuels me more to do it. So this is so out of character for me anyway. And I think that's why it's haunting me. It's like, no, I can do it. I just need to go do it.
I've decided I'm coming up with a new profession that I pursue. It's an aviation therapist.
Oh, yes. I could sit there on the couch and lay down. And
not me, them. And I tell them, just get back in the airplane. That'll be the end of all of it.
And I should have. Yeah. So to answer your question, Skippy 11, yes, I should have.
Well, that's actually a very good question.
So I would say if you're at the same point in your training or something has gone wrong, talk it out with your flight instructor, debrief it completely. And even focus on maybe that type of thing. Like maybe it would have been good for me to go back up and even with him in the airplane and pretend it's like my solo and refly it again so that I had a good experience with it as opposed to to create a memory as opposed to the bad experience that I created a memory with.
Yeah, and then when you go solo again, bring a 200-pound weight for the right seat.
Yeah, just I can get one of those five-gallon water bottles and just strap it in the front seat.
Yes. All right, let's say hi to a couple people. We've had Wolf Pilot join us. He's also a aspiring YouTuber here. His channel is growing. I've seen him in some of the communities I'm at. So hi, Wolf Pilot. He was also at a recording of In the Hangar. If you haven't seen that, that's another YouTube channel. They record literally in one weekend a year's worth of content.
Oh my gosh.
No joke. It's crazy. But he was there inside of the audience, and that's where I met him, and so it was kind of fun. Him and Brian Turner from Just Plain Silly, I met him there too. Actually,
I honestly wish that there had been something like this when I was starting my training.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I would have felt better. If I had heard someone else that had the same type of
experience, through something like this.
Yeah, I think I would have been more prepared for it. And
that's why you're here tonight, is to... You are that person.
So stay at it.
That's awesome that you said that. That's actually really funny. So, all right. So let's move on to next steps, because I think we covered all these things. So you do intend to fly again. So you want to learn to fly for a purpose. So let's say you're going to do that. How do you want to pursue it? Do you know yet? Do you want to join a flight school? Do you think you want to go about private? Because it sounds like you're kind of doing it privately, but it was still...
Yeah, I want to do it like everyone else does, the cheapest way possible.
The cheapest way possible. I can tell you, then buy an airplane. No.
I know, that's what we did. We talked about that the other day, right? And I don't know if I'm ready to go to that far.
I know,
but I want to, and I think, John, since I've known him for over 20 years, flying with him would be a better experience for me than the first one because I know him.
Yes, and he's also
he's
relate
like
on a different yeah, and he can kick your butt in a way that is okay,
right? Yeah.
It's okay that if you do a landing, it's like, dude, that sucked.
And they're like, yeah, no, you're right.
And then you guys laugh about it and you go do another one.
Absolutely.
And there's a level of comfort and stuff with that, which is awesome. And honestly, that's, I think what I would encourage you to do is go fly with John, fly with someone that you know.
Yeah, I think
Have
even
some
just like
fun.
the intro flight.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Intro flight,
Yeah, the discovery flight.
Yes.
But no, I think that's a great idea. From there, you say the cheapest way possible, but sometimes the situation that you had and stuff, it sounds like you were doing it privately. And I tell a lot of people, it's like you need to make sure you have the right instructors. But sometimes when you're given an opportunity, kind of like what you had, you don't have a choice.
No.
You don't. And so having that choice might help you, or like you said, you could go fly with John and maybe go to the school that he's at. And then you'd have structure. You'd know when things are happening, how things are going to go on, and you're going to get homework assignments, and you might be able to progress easier and quicker than you could privately.
Yeah, and I
So-
think I wouldn't have the pressure because there was some pressure on me at that time because I needed to have that to test for a unit, that the whole reason I had taken that job. So I think I felt that pressure, whereas now later on in my life here, I know I'm going to get a retirement from my current job. I have a great other job, so I'm set there, and it won't make a difference if I can't complete it, which I know I can. But if I couldn't complete it for some reason, I still got other stuff that I can do.
Yeah,
So I think that makes a big difference too.
definitely, absolutely. So, but like, sorry, I started reading these, and it's not that I stopped listening
I
to
think
you.
we've missed a few things here too.
Let's see what we've got. Wolf Pilot. Oh, he's answering a question. I'm going really cool in the morning. Oh, you're going somewhere really cool in the morning. Like as in temperature cool? Because, I mean, it was 115 to 117 here today. So.
No, he's reenacting his solo.
Oh, reenacting his solo. That's awesome. Your solo flight, your cross country. That's cool.
That's really cool.
I accidentally, I didn't realize it, went and did 3 touch and goes at the airport 1 year after my solo.
Oh,
Or after my solo. I didn't even realize that I did it.
the irony.
My instructor was just like, so I see you reenacted your solo a year ago. What? Oh, yeah, of course. That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, just want to make sure I could still do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's totally cool. So, anything else here coming in? Nope, no questions for us. So now I have to think of some fun
But
question.
you might have missed some stuff up here. I don't know if you want to.
Oh, Brian Rhodes answered the question about that airplane that had to gear up. He doesn't have any idea if the guy continued to work. But I have heard incidences where people absolutely 100% lose their confidence, and they just step away.
And that's kind of sad to me because I feel like if you're willing to pay the money to get into this hobby,
Theoretically, I'm a recreational pilot.
yes, this love of aviation that costs a lot of money, you must have something inside you. I mean, at least I do. I still get all giddy when we get a medical flight and I'm going to fly in a helicopter somewhere, even an airplane, and the taxiing out and taking off. And, some of our pilots on the airplane side, they turn off ATC so we can't hear it in the back, which drives me crazy because I want to hear everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I want to be immersed in that environment. I like to know what's going on. So,
Which, this could be a fun one. Oh, wait. Has Carl had any scary moments in flight? That could fill some time.
yeah.
I have had a scary moment in flight. Actually, rather terrifying. Let's just say, bare feet from death. Like, no joke.
Wow.
I was a safety pilot for someone who was doing their currency training for instrument. And so we were at Deer Valley Airport on a busy Saturday morning. And I think we were on the second approach. And we were coming in for a landing, and I could see that things were getting crazy. I looked down, there's people lined up, and I look down, and I see someone on the runway lined up, ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
And just as I saw it, I heard ATC tell us to go around. Okay, so the pilot, he did the go around, and after he said go around, and we're not quite to the runway yet, I hear him tell an airplane, clear for takeoff, fly straight out. And in my head, I'm like, did he just clear the guy underneath us to take off?
Yeah, right?
He did.
Oh my gosh.
So here we are, and because we were just coming over and he started going, I'm looking down. I can't see him.
No.
Can't see him at all. He can't see us. We're really...
Did they say anything about maintaining visual separation or anything
nothing,
like that?
Nothing at all.
Oh
and so I'm watching on the ADS-B, which is like, I love watching that thing, especially when I'm in the beehive, is what I call it.
Yes.
In the beehive, and everyone's in there. And sometimes, if you fly with the ADS-B, you can see a ghost of yourself.
Yep.
It was like 100 feet below you. No, it's just me.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, directly below me, here is another little blip. And I'm like, is that a ghost? I'm pretty sure he cleared someone to take off, and I'm watching this blip just keep getting higher.
Were you guys right above the runway at this point, or did you deviate from the runway line?
We were not told anything except to continue to do a go-around, which means fly to the end of the runway.
Fly straight out, yep.
And then come back around.
Yep.
And I see that getting closer and closer and closer to us, and I finally turn to him. I'm like, dude, take a right. Just right now. And he did. He just listened. He just did it. I kid you not, the other airplane just flew right up in front of us.
Oh, my gosh.
It would have hit us had we not turned. We came very, very close. And I'm sure that air traffic control meant to tell us maybe at midfield, take a right, go around, join the downwind. But he didn't. And who would have that error been on? It would have been on air traffic control, 100%. You go back and you listen to that, that stuff, it would have been their fault. But very, very scary for us at that moment.
And Just Plain Silly is talking about when he goes around that he just jogs to the side of the runway. And that's kind of how I was taught, too, just kind of kick left or kick a little right.
See, and you can, but it also depends on the runway and how much traffic there is going on. Because there's times when you have to do what they're told because they've got 8 other people in the pattern at Deer Valley. And you're all doing touch and goes.
Yeah.
And so to be able to deviate like that, it's not something that you should really be doing. So, yes, very, very scary moment. Scariest moment I think I've ever been. I would say that that's a little bit scarier than the severe turbulence my wife and I ended up in. That was terrifying. But that was like prolonged terrifyingness, and we were fine. But that moment...
Were you commercial?
No.
Oh!
This was us. We did a little flight over the Grand Canyon, and after we turned to go to Marble Canyon, we hit clear turbulence, and it was bad.
Oh, gosh.
It was scary. But no, that is my scariest moment. My closest near miss that I've ever had in that airplane, I'm not joking, was it would have hit us if we had continued straight. So
Jimmy wants to know if you called it out to tower.
We did not. We were both kind of shaken up by it, to be honest. So we the reason that they didn't tell us to join the downwind is because we were doing approaches, and so it was one of those. We were going to fly straight out, and then the approach was over by Lake Pleasant, which was northeast of the airport, and we were on the south runway. So they were going to have us depart going north at the end of the runway. So that is probably why they didn't tell us any of those things. And we just got forgotten about. Yeah. It can happen. I mean, Deer Valley is a crazy place. It's
one of the busiest GA airports in the country.
It is the busiest. I've had people say, no, I think Van Nuys is or something. It's like,
I've heard that too. But...
No, they don't even come close. It's not even funny. Deer Valley Airport is in the top 15 busiest airports in the nation. And that's per operations, all airports.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, we didn't call it out to tower there. Let's see if there's any fun stuff. Yeah, it doesn't matter whose fault it is when you're dead. Thanks, Brian.
Yes.
That's absolutely true. And thanks for sticking around for the whole episode. And you know what? We kind of got through your story and everything. It was great, and I really do appreciate that story. And people are even saying this is a fantastic episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No, I again so much appreciate that you took this time to talk about these things, because I could see in your mind that, like, this is painful. I don't want to talk about this again.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I need to go back and finish it.
Awesome. Well, let me know when you do.
And I appreciate everyone here cheering me on.
Yeah, no, these
So
guys are
it's very-
these guys are great.
they are.
They want to see us all succeed, and I want all of you guys to succeed as well. So, all right, well, I think that we're going to end a couple minutes early because I don't think we should get into another story. We usually keep these to about an hour.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a little plug real quick for Patreon. I want to start doing after parties. I want to do midweek aviation chats and different things like that. Those are all things that we've started to do over on Patreon. We have 3 Patreon members right now, and if we could get some more, that would definitely help the channel and make those conversations a lot more interesting.
Absolutely. And they should subscribe.
Oh, also definitely subscribe and like this video if you haven't. Likes are absolutely free. They don't cost you anything, and it definitely helps the channel as well. So, all right, guys, thank you all for watching. As always, share aviation wherever you can, and we'll see you in the next one. And